Welcome to Diamond.Standard.Gaming, and today I'm going to go ahead and talk about the video that we made for our roller coaster wars a couple of days ago. So I'm just going to kind of go through each of the switch tracks that we did, and then talk a little bit about those, and then I'll talk a little bit about what I did for some of the logic that I had to put in. So there's a couple of places I had to go ahead and use some command blocks to make things work the way I wanted them to work. So right here we are at our first set of command blocks. So when you start this roller coaster, you're coming from this left track right over here. You wrap around this corner, you wrap around this corner, and then you go ahead and hit this button right here. As soon as you hit the button, you activate these two command blocks. So this first one right here directly under the button will turn this track here into air, and then this second command block right here will turn this redstone block here into air. When those two things happen, the track right here will connect straight up with this track right here. And then what this is here, this is essentially the finishing loop of the roller coaster. So when you go all the way around, so when you finish the entire roller coaster, you come basically wrap around this loop. And I didn't want it to dead end here, and there was really no reason to ever go back here. This area in here is really just for starting the roller coaster, because it was a competition if you saw the video, and I just wanted to hide the rest of the roller coaster from the players as they started the round. Alright, and then what I show here, this is the first command block, so the command block that's directly underneath the button. And I'm using relative coordinates, which is designated by, I guess, the tilde. So what I'm doing is I'm placing the block that's one greater in each X, Y, and Z position, which ends up being that one train track that I showed you earlier. And I'm replacing that with air. And then right here, I'm showing you the second command block, which again, I'm using the relative coordinates. And in this case, I am replacing the block that is 2 less in the X position, 1 greater in the Y, and 1 greater in the Z position. And this block is replacing the redstone block that I showed you earlier with air as well. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and head over to our first switch track. So what I do is I go ahead and I put some more power rails right here. And what I actually do is I keep them unpowered at this point. And that way it actually stops you and gives you time to go ahead and hit that lever. If you don't put something like that stops you, what ends up happening is you don't have time to push the lever, and you'll go whatever direction the track is currently switched in. So for this one, if you saw our video, the clue was money. So I stuck with that same clue through the entire video, and I had to kind of come up with something slightly different at each switch track that would give the player a clue of which was the correct path to take. So again, the clue was money, and what I chose for the first one was gold blocks and copper blocks. So hopefully the player would have gotten, gold blocks are more expensive than copper blocks, so I'm going to go towards the gold blocks. And right here is how our finished first switch track looked. So again, the less expensive blocks, copper blocks on the left, the more expensive blocks, the gold blocks on the right. And again, the clue was money, so if the player chose right, they went to the right hand side. And what I did in this video is each switch track had basically a you lose section, and then a you win and you get a continue section. So in this one, you can see if they chose the wrong one, their minecart would have rolled right into that pit of lava. If they chose the right one, just like this, they would have come on through here, just like this, went on a little ride through the cave, right up this hill, and then right off the side of this cliff. Then they would have landed all the way down here on this track, continued through here, kind of went off another little cliff, then kind of wrapped around here, up the waterfall, all the way up this waterfall, up around here, up this big giant hill, and then they would have got right here, and they would have stopped at the next switch that they have. The losing path would take you to this room full of zombies, and your minecart would fall right into it. The winning path would again continue on to the end of the roller coaster, or to the next switch track. So what I did in this one is I chose to use kelp for the cheap side, and I went ahead and used diamond blocks for the more expensive side. Again, this one seemed to be pretty easy. The couple of people that I had play it, Cars and Trucks and Ice Princess, really didn't have any problem getting these two right. So that's what it looked like once I go ahead and finish the two walls. And I will actually go back and I put a little bit more kelp and a little bit more diamond down underneath where I put it, to basically go all the way back down to the ground. So this is how it finally looks when it's all done. So again, I think the clue is probably pretty easy for most people. They would probably guess that the kelp blocks are cheaper than the diamond, and hopefully they would go ahead and switch the track and go to the right instead of the left. Alright, and then here we are at our third and final switch track. So I'm following the same pattern. I'm going ahead and putting some unpowered power track down to stop the players as they come up to this third switch track. And in this one, I would try to be a little bit more tricky, so I went with brick wall and wooden fence. Again, hopefully this time, the wooden fence was the cheaper of the two choices, and the clue was money. So, hopefully they would have picked the brick wall, because it would have been more expensive than a wooden fence. If they pick the wrong one, they come up here to this giant bedrock block that I have. And what I'm doing up here is I'm putting a kind of a trick trail, we'll call it, coming out the back of the block, just so as they see it from a distance, it looks like something's coming out of this block. So it looks like they're going up the first hill, and then into the block, and then they're coming down this hill. I thought if I didn't put this here, I thought maybe they would have thought it was a trick because they didn't see anything coming out. So what I do here is I go ahead and I build a trail coming down, and then I go ahead and add tracks. And in this case, the tracks just end in a dead end at the very end. Okay, and then here at third switch, I go ahead and I'm going to build up my wooden fence on the one side, and I'm going to go ahead and build my brick wall or brick fence on the right hand side. And in this one, being that it was the third switch track, I was trying to be a little bit more tricky. And if you watch the video, you will see I did successfully trick two of the players, both Ice Princess and Cars and Trucks. And then when Mommy went and played, she actually did get it right, but I think it might have been a mistake or an accident, because she didn't really switch the track. I think she was trying to switch it, but she wasn't fast enough, so she actually ended up going right. So by accident, she actually ended up winning the round. So here's the wooden fence right here. And then on the other side right here, I go ahead and I put the brick wall in. And you'll see in a second I come back and I break out the bottom row of each, I believe, because I did want the player to see what was there on the other side of the wall and not be completely blocked. Okay, and then up this hill here is our last trap for the players. And what happens here, as you go up this giant hill, you come in here with your minecart, and you'll wrap around the corner here. And then you will wrap all the way around here. You'll come up here and hit this button right here, activate that redstone dust trail, which will then close in the doorway there, and then power that curved track that you see right there, making it straight. So what ends up happening is you're stuck inside this box, and it's a bedrock box, so if you're actually playing this in survival mode, you will actually be stuck inside this box forever. And that's kind of the trap here. So you hope you don't pick this one. I guess you hope you don't pick any of them, and any of the wrong choices, because you'll always meet your end. And then here I go ahead and I show you the command. So that I'm filling this position, -19, 117, 13 to -19, 119, 13, which is the open doorway here with bedrock. So that's the command for that. And then if you pick the correct way, which is the right way this time, you come on down this track right here, and then you loop back around, and if you remember, this was the very beginning of the video. You're back here at the copper and gold first switch track that we had. And that finishes up our video for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, have a great day.